Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Email on Tap. I'm your host, Anthony Chuli. We're here at eTail West in Palm Springs, California. And today my guest is Vic Peppiatt, co-founder and COO of Phrasee. Vic, thanks so much for being on the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
So Phrasee has burst onto the AI scene and recently ranked as one of the top AI startups in the UK. Tell me how this idea started out as a business.
So we founded Phrasee 4 years ago, February 2015, and it was myself, Parry Mom, and Dr. Neil Yeager. It's actually the brainchild of Parry, who is our CEO. He'd been working in the email marketing world and had been working for one of the main ESPs. And one of the biggest questions he constantly got asked by all of his clients was, what's the perfect subject line? Is there a science to it? Should it be long? Should it be short? Should it have an emoji? What sort of sentiment? Should it include the offer or the discount or free delivery? And it was the one question that he always said, you need to test. You need to test it. But the issue with that is that as humans, we're unable to quantify why one piece of short form language might outperform another. And as human beings, we relate to language very, very differently from person to person, and it's very, very hard to be able to quantify and justify why some language outperforms another. So he came up with the idea of, what if we could build a machine that took away personal bias and gut instinct, and we could actually base it on data, real life data from split testing. Now that's where we bring in Dr. Neil Yeager. So Neil and Parry studied at university 25 years ago, and they both studied computer science. They got back in touch about 5 years ago, and Parry was talking about it through with Neil, and Neil said, well, I could definitely help you. He's an expert, he's got a PhD in machine vision, and he's our expert in AI. And at this point, they both went, right, we could build a beta product. We've got a great idea, but we need help in setting up the business and getting it going. And that's where I came in. So I'd been working with Parry. Previous to Phrasee, I ran a creative agency for 11 years. Right. And Parry had been one of our clients. So I'd known him. He came to me and said, Vic, I've got this amazing idea. Told me about it. I was like, wow, that is amazing. I want in. And that's how we founded it.
And so brands have a unique voice and tone. Talk to me about how the machine learning in Phrasee matches and personalizes subject line suggestions based on a brand's unique tone.
Yeah, so it's a really important point. And actually coming from a creative and branding background, I really understood about the importance of making sure that if you're generating language at scale, it needs to sound like the brand. So we work with global brands such as eBay and Domino's and Virgin, and everyone's got a very distinct tone of voice. And it's really, really important that if you're using AI, it needs to be indistinguishable to that written by a human. Right. So we want, when our clients start working with us, we want to make sure that Phrasee is generating language as if they were a copywriter in your marketing department. And the way that we do that is that we, when we onboard new clients, we take on their brand guidelines, their tone of voice, and we have a team of computational linguists and language technicians who then build these bespoke language algorithms on a brand-to-brand basis. So that at the touch of a button, you can literally generate thousands of variants of basically saying the same thing, but it sounds like someone from your marketing department. And that's a really, really important part of what we do.
There's a lot of talk about AI and machine learning here at this conference, and it's certainly a buzzword and trend this year as well. But I think a lot of marketers get a little bit scared about marketing with machine learning and AI. Yeah. How does Phrasee aim to disrupt this in the right way and the morals and ethics behind machine learning and how you operate?
Absolutely. So this is a really key point for us about, there's a lot of scaremongering going on about AI at the moment, and I think that's an educational piece, really, understanding the powers of AI. So artificial intelligence is actually this umbrella term, and it can mean lots of things depending on whether you're a marketeer or a mathematician or a scientist. And you know, we've got two forms of AI. We've got what we call general AI, which is where it's the Terminator, they're coming to replace you, take your jobs, take over the world, and they're going to just, you know, take us all over, which is quite terrifying.
Sure.
But actually, in reality, we're quite far away from that. In reality, we've got what we call narrow AI, which is what Phrasee does. And that's where it's really, really powerful when you've got a specific problem and you're using AI to solve that problem. So where we bring AI in, it's about increasing email open rates. So we always are measuring against the human control, so what you would normally be doing, and we can then see that actually the power of using AI to generate language and to generate optimized language, which is really key, is where then we can see the uplift. So we then work with brands and copywriters and we onboard them to work together. It's really, really important for copywriters to not think that we're coming to replace them. They've got to think we're working well with them. As email marketers, we spend so much time thinking of the content, designing an email, building it, making sure it's responsive. And actually, when it comes to sending it, sometimes the email subject line is the last thing that everyone thinks about. But
it's also the first impression that a lot of people see.
And it's the one thing that you've got full control over because your brand name will always stay the same. So why wouldn't you put your best foot forward and use optimized language to get the highest open rate? And how we position it with copywriters is we are helping your audience read your content. So we're trying to get the highest level of engagement so that your customers can read the juicy bit of content that your copywriters have written.
So I've got one last question for you. I know that you studied at the university with music and technology, and you play the piano and the flute as well.
That's right.
How has that artistic background in music helped you launch Phrasee?
So I think for me, studying music and technology at university meant that I'm probably a little bit braver going into the tech world than most others would feel, because I've never felt that there's a boundary or a barrier between technology. And I think the creative aspect is we're fundamentally, the short form copywriter. We're empowering brands throughout the world with AI powered copywriting. So it's a creative element. It's understanding that brand side, like we discussed about the tone of voice. And I think that creative element has given me a better understanding of what's required and what our customers want. That it can't be this generic language that a one size fits all.
Vic, thank you so much. This has been very insightful. I appreciate you taking time to be a guest.
Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for watching, and we hope to see you next time on another episode of Email on Tap.